Have you ever watched a movie that kept you on the edge of your seat only to crash and burn in the final moments? Sometimes a movie builds incredible momentum only to stumble at the finish line. Today, we're diving into the top worst movie endings of all time. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The return of Indiana Jones was one of the most anticipated cinematic events of the 2000s, but Kingdom of the Crystal Skull quickly became a divisive chapter in the franchise. The film follows Indy's quest to uncover the secrets of the mysterious crystal skulls, which leads him to a hidden temple in the Amazon. While the journey was filled with the signature adventure and action fans loved, the ending took a sharp left turn into sci-fi territory. The revelation that the crystal skulls were extraterrestrial in origin and the subsequent appearance of an alien spacecraft ascending into another dimension left audiences scratching their heads. Indiana Jones, a series grounded in mythological and religious artifacts like the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail, suddenly introduced alien life into its narrative. This abrupt tonal shift felt completely out of place within the established lore of the franchise. Moreover, the visual effects of the alien and spaceship sequences were heavily criticized for being overly reliant on CGI, further distancing the film from the practical effects that defined the original trilogy. Many fans felt that this ending undermined the character's legacy, turning a beloved archaeologist-adventurer into a sci-fi protagonist in a way that failed to resonate with the core themes of the series. Sunshine. Danny Boyle's Sunshine is a masterclass in atmospheric tension and psychological drama, at least until its final act. The film follows a team of astronauts on a mission to reignite the dying sun, exploring themes of isolation, sacrifice, and humanity's fragility. For much of its runtime, the movie builds a sense of existential dread as the crew faces both external dangers and internal moral dilemmas. However, the introduction of Captain Pinbacker, a deranged survivor from a previous mission, shifts the film's tone dramatically. Pinbacker, who has become a homicidal zealot, turns the story into a slasher thriller in space. This jarring genre shift undermines the carefully constructed tension and philosophical depth of the earlier acts. The ending, in which Pinbacker's sabotage leads to a chaotic, visually disorienting climax, feels disconnected from the movie's initial themes. Many viewers were left frustrated, feeling that the film sacrificed its thought-provoking narrative for cheap thrills. Sunshine had the potential to be a modern sci-fi classic, but its final act left audiences bewildered and disappointed. The Forgotten. The Forgotten starts as a gripping psychological thriller, with Julianne Moore delivering a compelling performance as a grieving mother whose son appears to have been erased from existence. The film skillfully builds suspense, hinting at a larger conspiracy involving government agents, memory manipulation, and a desperate search for the truth. Then, in an out-of-nowhere twist, aliens are revealed to be responsible for the events of the film. This revelation feels completely disconnected from the emotional and psychological narrative established earlier. The alien subplot is poorly foreshadowed, making it feel like a last-minute addition rather than an organic part of the story. Instead of resolving the complex themes of grief and memory loss, the film abandons its emotional core in favor of an outlandish explanation that undermines everything that came before it. Audiences who were invested in the protagonist's journey felt cheated, as the ending failed to provide meaningful closure or a logical conclusion to the film's central mystery. Lady in the Water. M. Night Shyamalan's Lady in the Water was marketed as a whimsical fairy tale with a deeply personal touch. The film revolves around a sea nymph, Story, who emerges from a swimming pool to fulfill her mystical destiny, aided by a group of quirky apartment residents. While the premise had potential, the execution and the film's ending left much to be desired. The final act reveals that each resident has a unique, seemingly random role in Story's journey, such as a guardian or a guild. These roles are crucial to protecting her from supernatural threats like the Skrunt, a wolf-like creature, and enabling her to return to her mystical world via a giant eagle. The convoluted way these roles come together, coupled with Shyamalan casting himself as a prophetic writer whose work will change the world, drew heavy criticism for being self-indulgent and confusing. The ending feels forced and unearned, relying on contrived twists rather than organic storytelling. What could have been an enchanting and imaginative tale ultimately collapsed under its own weight, leaving audiences puzzled and underwhelmed. The number 23. Jim Carrey's departure from comedy to explore darker roles was an exciting prospect, and the number 23 had a premise ripe with potential. The film centers on a man who becomes obsessed with the titular number, believing it holds a sinister influence over his life. As he unravels the mystery, the movie promises to delve into themes of paranoia, fate, and self-destruction. However, the revelation that Carrey's character wrote the book he's obsessed with and then gave himself amnesia to forget a past crime feels overly convenient and contrived. This twist undercuts the tension and mystery, as it reduces the film's central conflict to a convoluted loop with no real stakes. The ending also fails to address the larger questions raised by the narrative, such as the significance of the number 23 itself. Instead of delivering a satisfying psychological thriller, the film devolves into a muddled mess that leaves viewers unsatisfied. I Am Legend. Based on Richard Matheson's seminal novel, I Am Legend had all the elements of a thoughtful and gripping story about humanity, isolation, and survival in a post-apocalyptic world. The film stars Will Smith as Robert Neville, a virologist grappling with the devastation caused by a virus that has wiped out most of humanity and turned the survivors into vampiric mutants known as Darkseekers. Smith's performance captures Neville's loneliness and determination as he searches tirelessly for a cure while battling the emotional weight of his solitude and guilt. For much of the film, the narrative successfully balances suspense, action, and introspection. The scenes of Neville wandering the empty streets of New York, accompanied only by his loyal dog Sam, are haunting and powerful. His growing attachment to mannequins he has positioned around the city underscores his deep longing for human connection. The tension escalates when Neville captures a female Darkseeker for experimentation, believing the infected to be mindless monsters. However, the film's theatrical ending undermines its potential for a deeper, more thought-provoking resolution. In the final moments, Neville discovers that the Darkseekers are attacking his lab because the female he captured is their leader's mate. Rather than recognizing their sentience and attempting reconciliation, Neville sacrifices himself by detonating a grenade, allowing his companions to escape with a potential cure. This conclusion reduces the story to a conventional action climax, where the protagonist dies heroically, but the broader implications of his discoveries remain unexamined. A version of I Am Legend with Matheson's original ending would have elevated the story from a standard post-apocalyptic thriller to a philosophical exploration of morality, survival, and the evolving definitions of humanity. Unfortunately, the theatrical ending sacrifices this depth in favor of a safe, crowd-pleasing resolution, robbing the film of its potential to be a true genre masterpiece. War of the Worlds. Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds is a visually stunning adaptation of H.G. Wells' classic novel, chronicling humanity's desperate fight for survival during an alien invasion. The film masterfully builds tension and dread, beginning with eerie scenes of massive tripod machines emerging from the ground and unleashing devastating attacks. Tom Cruise delivers a compelling performance as Ray Ferrier, an everyman struggling to protect his children while navigating the chaos of a crumbling world. The film's portrayal of the alien invasion is both intense and immersive. From the chilling sound design of the tripod's mechanical roars to the scenes of human crowds being vaporized en masse, Spielberg captures the sheer terror and helplessness of humanity. The story also emphasizes the psychological toll of survival, as Ray grapples with moral dilemmas, such as whether to help strangers or prioritize his family. However, the film's resolution feels like a letdown. In a sudden turn of events, the alien invaders are defeated not by human ingenuity or resilience, but by Earth's microbes, which their immune systems are unable to combat. While this ending is faithful to Wells' original novel, it fails to resonate in the context of modern cinema, where audiences often expect a more active resolution from the protagonists. The abrupt collapse of the alien threat leaves viewers with unanswered questions. How did an advanced civilization capable of interplanetary travel fail to anticipate the dangers of microbial life? The lack of explanation makes the aliens' downfall seem implausible and undermines the tension built throughout the film. Furthermore, the miraculous survival of Ray's son, who had previously been presumed dead in a battle, feels like an unnecessary and contrived attempt at a happy ending. Superman, 1978. The original Superman film is widely regarded as a masterpiece that defined the superhero genre for decades to come. Christopher Reeve's portrayal of Clark Kent/Superman combined charm, vulnerability, and heroism, creating a universally beloved character. Directed by Richard Donner, the film builds an emotional arc that showcases Superman's struggle to balance his immense power with his humanity. However, the film's climax, where Superman reverses time by flying around the Earth at super speed, remains one of the most polarizing moments in cinematic history. This scene occurs after an earthquake caused by Lex Luthor's scheme kills Lois Lane. In his grief, Superman defies Jor-El's earlier warning that he must not interfere with human history. He flies around the Earth so fast that it reverses its rotation, causing time to move backward and undoing Lois' death. While visually stunning, this Deus Ex Machina solution undermines the tension and stakes built throughout the film. Instead of finding a creative or emotionally grounded way to resolve the crisis, the narrative opts for an unrealistic and overly convenient method that feels disconnected from the grounded heroism established earlier. The time reversal also diminishes the emotional weight of Superman's loss. The heartbreak of Lois Lane's death could have been a defining moment for Clark Kent, a reminder of the limitations of his power and the impossibility of saving everyone. Instead, his ability to undo such a monumental event portrays him as nearly omnipotent, stripping away the vulnerability that made him relatable to audiences. Furthermore, this ending raises questions about the mechanics of time travel in the Superman universe. If Superman can reverse time at will, why doesn't he use this power in future conflicts? This inconsistency diminishes the stakes of any subsequent danger he faces, as the audience knows he could simply undo catastrophic events by turning back the clock. Despite its flaws, the ending of Superman remains iconic, a testament to the film's cultural impact. However, it also serves as a cautionary example of how an over-reliance on spectacle can weaken a story's emotional core. Planet of the Apes, 2001. Tim Burton's 2001 Planet of the Apes reboot promised to reimagine a sci-fi classic for a new generation. The film featured dazzling visuals, elaborate makeup effects, and an ambitious reinterpretation of the conflict between humans and apes. However, its ending remains one of the most baffling and controversial in cinematic history, leaving audiences confused rather than awed. In the film's final moments, astronaut Leo Davidson, Mark Wahlberg, successfully escapes the ape-dominated planet and returns to Earth. Upon landing, however, he finds that history has inexplicably changed. Earth is now ruled by apes, with the Lincoln Memorial replaced by a statue of the film's antagonist, General Thade. This twist is clearly intended to echo the shocking reveal of the original 1968 Planet of the Apes, where Charlton Heston's character discovers the ruined Statue of Liberty, realizing he was on a post-apocalyptic Earth all along. However, Burton's twist lacks the thematic depth and narrative logic of its predecessor. The original ending was a haunting commentary on humanity's capacity for self-destruction, tying directly into the film's anti-war and anti-nuclear themes. In contrast, Burton's ending feels random and disconnected from the rest of the film's story. There is no explanation for how or why Earth has been overtaken by apes, leaving audiences to speculate on the mechanics of this alternate timeline. Critics and viewers alike criticized the ending for prioritizing shock value over meaningful commentary. Rather than adding depth to the narrative, the twist undermines the emotional weight of Leo's journey and leaves unresolved questions about the film's broader implications. This lack of coherence ultimately diminishes the impact of the story, making the reboot a frustrating missed opportunity. The Devil Inside. The Devil Inside is often remembered not for its scares or storytelling, but for its infamously unresolved ending. The found-footage horror film follows a woman investigating her mother's involvement in a deadly exorcism, gradually uncovering a series of demonic possessions. While the film builds tension through its documentary-style approach, its conclusion leaves audiences feeling not terrified but betrayed. After a climactic car crash involving the possessed characters, the screen abruptly cuts to black, and a title card appears directing viewers to a website for more information. This ending provides no resolution to the story, no explanation of the characters' fates, and no thematic closure. Instead, it feels like a shameless marketing ploy designed to drive traffic to an external site. This decision angered audiences who felt that the filmmakers prioritized promoting their website over delivering a satisfying conclusion. The found footage format already requires a suspension of disbelief, and the abrupt, unresolved ending only compounded viewers' frustration. Many critics described it as one of the worst movie endings in recent memory, accusing the film of disrespecting its audience's time and investment. Rather than providing a memorable or meaningful horror experience, The Devil Inside became a cautionary tale about how not to end a film. Its failure to deliver even a semblance of closure turned what could have been a chilling thriller into a widely derided example of poor storytelling. Why endings matter. A movie's ending is its final opportunity to leave a lasting impression on the audience. A great ending can elevate an entire film, while a bad one can overshadow even the strongest moments. The movies on this list are reminders of how crucial it is for filmmakers to deliver conclusions that feel earned, logical, and emotionally satisfying. Whether through abrupt twists, contrived resolutions, or misguided attempts at shock value, these films demonstrate the pitfalls of failing to stick the landing. For fans and creators alike, they serve as cautionary tales of how not to conclude a story.